Hi, everyone. This is Connie Zabo-Schmucker. I'm Advocacy Director here at Bicycle Garage Indy, and we are having our Spotlight on Bicycling tonight, and we'll be hearing a little bit about 913sports and all of the things they do. Nathan Wilson from 913sports is joining us, and our next up on Spotlight on Bicycling is Freewheelin' Community Bikes next week and Hoosier Mountain Bike Association on March 15th. There are a couple of other organizations that I've made contact with, so we'll probably go through the end of March at least with Spotlight on Bicycling, and possibly longer if I get additional interest. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And what I'd like to do is do just a couple little polls, just to get an idea about your bicycling interests. So if you can go ahead and check all that apply of what type of bicycling you currently do. So there's bicycling on roads, paved paths, natural surface, transportation, family and friends, bicycling alone, touring bikes, bicycling with groups as a local bike club, bicycling on organized rides and fee rides, and bicycling for competition. I'll give you a few more seconds to do that. And then I'll go ahead and share the poll. All right, so paved paths, everybody's doing. Bicycling on road, most. Natural surfaces, we have quite a few mountain bikers, that's great. Biking with family and friends. Bicycling alone, that was what I did a lot this year, this past year. Groups and organized rides, and no one is doing competition at this point. So that's what it looks like. And then I'm going to do one more poll, and this is mostly for my purposes. How did you learn about Spotlight on Bicycling? So I check all that apply. Gives me an idea of if what I'm doing is working as far as getting the word out. And I'm going to go ahead and end it in about 10 seconds. And most people heard it from our e-newsletter, which is great because I do a lot of the content for that, and social media and family and friend, and staff and email. So thank you very much. All right, so I am done with polling. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Nathan. 913sports is a partner, our not-for-profit partner for our Shifting Gears program that we have at Bicycle Garage Indy. But we also are a sponsor of their program, so we're very supportive of their efforts and always love to hear their updates of what's going on. So I welcome Nathan Wilson, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hey everybody, happy to be here. Again, my name is Nathan Wilson. I serve as the creative director for 913sports, which basically means that outside of our regular programming, when we're working with kids and bikes, my job is to help tell our story, our video production, digital storytelling, and all those sorts of things. So I'd like to start off tonight. I know many are familiar with 913 and what we do, but some may not be. So I want to walk through a little background, a little history on our organization, and then we'll dive in from there. So 913 Sports was founded by Tom Hanley in 2012 here in Indianapolis. It started out with the program that you see here, Kids Riding Bikes. And since that time, we have grown to 4 more programs, and essentially we are a youth education nonprofit that happens to use the bicycle to do what we do. It's our tool for learning, if you will. So as we walk through each one of our programs here, you'll kind of see those themes taking shape. So we've always been Indy based. This is our home. We serve kids all throughout Indianapolis and the surrounding areas to the tune of about 60,000 kids on a normal year, in normal times. But back in 2018, we found a home. We found a home in the near northwest neighborhood at 29th and the Canal, and that has been a big springboard for us over the last few years now, and it is the source of a lot of the excitement that I will have the opportunity to share with you tonight. But as a little sneak peek here, when we first moved into the building and onto the property, a big part of it was helping rehab the building and the property and bring some life back into the space. So the first thing we did was the space you see here, we built out office spaces. This was about a 10,000 square foot facility, and we built out our office spaces and still had room to be able to bring our trucks and trailers and all of our vehicles inside, which was a big improvement for us and for our programming. Some of the other things that happened, so on the left, that's facing the other direction. And then over here on the right is a little sneak peek of what we're going to focus on at the end. That is our classroom space there. And if you looked in that diagram, that red piece of it is where this space is. And we'll return to that here after just a little bit. So again, we started with Kids Riding Bikes. This is without question our foundational program, and always going to be the foundation of what we do. And essentially, with this program, the way we sell it to the kids, or the way we present it to them rather, is that we bring a big bike video game into their gym class during the school day. So as you can see, 8 stationary trainers, big TV screen up there in front of the kids, and it's the gamification of exercise. And for a lot of the kids that we work with, it's an introduction to the bicycle. So we work with kindergartners all the way up to freshmen in high school, typically even sometimes a bit older. And this is what the kids are seeing. So many of you probably are familiar with this program. It's the CompuTrainer program. So the orange part up at the top actually shows where the hills are. So when you get to a red line, you're going uphill and it's getting harder. Green line, you're going downhill and it gets easier. So this program is really, it's about the fun of the bike. It's about, again, that introduction for a lot of the kids. But as this program continued on, we found ourselves teaching many of the mental and physical health benefits of the bike to the kids, that many of us here in this group know all about. So it's a chance for us to introduce those to a lot of kids in a safe environment. For a kid who's never been on a bike, that may not know how to pedal and may be a little nervous, it provides a fun and a safe, engaging way to be able to introduce those concepts and start to teach those things. So as that was going on, we sort of took a step back and asked ourselves, what else could we be teaching with the bicycle? At the beginning, it was very much a sort of health and fitness focused. And then we realized the opportunity that was there to use the bicycle as an education tool. And so that was kind of the challenge we gave to ourselves, and has led to the additional programming lines and the other things that we've been doing over the last few years. And ultimately with this program, this is what it's about right here. Again, that joy of the bicycle. We're able to dive into some of those concepts, but this is really, what it's about. So, and the other part about this program is that, we talk about the bike being the ultimate equalizer, and we do everything we can to make sure that the bicycle is for everyone. So we've continued to take steps and will continue to take more steps to make sure any kid that wants to have the opportunity to participate in this program, despite any physical disabilities they may have, they're able to do so to the best of their abilities. So the next one is Kids Riding Bikes Explore Indy. So this one's a lot of fun. This one is a personal favorite for me. We basically take the city and we turn it into a giant history class. So it gives us the opportunity to do a few things. One, as we're riding around the city, we're able to teach young people and adults as well that maybe have never utilized bicycle infrastructure in any real way. We're able to teach them the proper way to utilize those things, show them how much of it exists, and present the bicycle as a legitimate mode of transportation that we all know it to be, and kind of give that example over the course of whether it be a couple of hours or sometimes half a day or more on some of our longer rides. But the other thing it allows us to do is, as we hit these storytelling stops all around the city or on greenways or in parks and other things like that, it gives us the opportunity to help build stronger connections to our community, to the community that we all love, by helping teach what's special about it. It's amazing, how many kids and young adults and adults take part in these rides that are unfamiliar with all these things they get to learn. And it's a really engaging program. And as many of us in this group know, one of the best ways, if not the best way, to get out and see a city and really experience it and connect with it is via bicycle. So then when we would take Kids Riding Bikes, this is Kids Riding Bikes STEM, as we call it, we would go into a gym class. And as you can imagine, there is a lot of excitement. The kids are going back and they're telling their classroom teachers, and there's this sort of buzz that gets created around the school that's really fun. But one of the positive side effects of that was when classroom teachers would have breaks, would have time, prep periods and things, they would come down and say, what are these bikes in the gym that the kids are talking about? And inevitably that led to conversations about, oh, hey, we could do this, or we could do that. We could teach this lesson or that lesson with the bike in class. So this program is still in its beta testing phase, if you will. We've had the chance to take it to a few schools around the state. And essentially what we're doing at the most basic level is we're taking the bike and the simple machine that it is and its parts, we're taking it out of the gym class and we're taking it into the classroom. So we can teach things like force and levers and different measurements. And in this case, you can see that there's counting happening. So we're talking about, gear ratios and all these other things that can apply to these STEM concepts in classrooms. And we're working with a group of educators to continue to help build this into something that can provide this sort of positive disruptor in the classroom that the bicycle can be, and really give an engaging way to teach these lessons that the teachers are trying to get across to the kids. Then, of course, there's Kids Building Bikes. So this one is where we are getting tools into the hands of kids. We are teaching them, in some cases, how to work a screwdriver, righty tighty, lefty loosey. They are learning the basics of maintenance and repair, and even how to build a bike. But it goes far beyond, like many of our other programs, it goes far beyond a bike. This program focuses heavily on things like employability skills, so perseverance, accountability, things that are going to kind of plant those seeds that are going to lead kids to a brighter future. Yeah, it's introducing things like skilled trade. There's a ton of opportunity there for those things, and talking about career paths and all of these things. But those employability skills, those things that are teaching kids how to work in a team environment and work in a timely fashion and problem solving and all those things that we all know to be extremely important. There again, the bicycle is a wonderful tool to be able to teach that. And much like all of our other programming, this is something that has always been really important to us. This program goes to the kids where they are. All of our programming is mobile based. Um, this one just happens to take place in a 48-foot trailer that's been built out into a mobile bike shop. So if you can imagine, this rig would roll up to a school near the end of the school day. And given that this program takes place over a number of weeks with the same small group of kids, it is more of an after school type program, as well as during the summer months, or even through the school year as well, with parks, with indie parks, with other partners that bring us into different community centers and those things. But it functions for the best understanding as an after school program, whereas kids riding bikes happens in schools during the school day. So, and the other thing about this program, as well as Explore Indy, is through COVID, because of one with Explore Indy, because it's outside, obviously, and this one because it's smaller groups and a little easier to control, we have safely and strategically been able to continue some of this programming as it has made sense. So this programming has been able to continue as well. So within each class, they're learning, like here you're seeing the lesson being taught of literally the parts of the bike. And they get the chance, and they're going through worksheets, and they're going through all these things. So they're learning those basics as they go through the class. And then they're getting their chance to really dive in and try, then they're trying and ultimately succeeding in these skills that they're learning throughout the class. And then, of course, we're teaching rider safety as well. We're teaching, rules of the road, fitting for helmets. We're teaching, again, hands-on stuff, learning repair, learning how to fix a flat, the basic stuff that's really important to know how to do with, when you are a bike rider, when you're riding a bike and you have your own bike. And the thing about this program is, at the end of it, when they have accomplished and they have met all of the requirements over this weeks-long program, they leave here with a brand new mountain bike, a helmet and a lock, and a set of tools that they have earned. They have to go through the entire program. They have to put in the time. They have to meet all of the requirements of the program. And then at the end of that, they leave with a bike that they built themselves, the knowledge to maintain it, to repair it when it's needed, the knowledge to ride it safely and responsibly, and ultimately with the freedom that a bicycle can offer. So another really exciting partnership I wanted to touch on really quickly is Team 913sports. So through Indiana Cycling Development and Singleton Coaching, this partnership has been around for the last couple of years, and it's something that we're really looking forward to continuing on through 2021 and being able to tell this story of what these kids are doing on Team 913sports. So this is where things kind of take a turn, and for us, that happened on March 9th of last year, and that was the day that for our programming, everything really did stop. March 9th, I was in IPS 109 on a kids riding bike site working with kids, and I left there that day knowing that there was, this COVID thing was happening, and we may kind of have to take a break for a couple of weeks and figure out what was going on. And before we knew it, it was sort of, this was the question that came up. What happens when everything stops? Because we had no idea how long it was going to be, before we could return to our programming, or, to be honest, if we would get to. So we looked around over the course of about 72 hours. Our leadership team sort of took stock of kind of what we had and what our options might be, and what resources we had at our disposal. We knew we had trucks and trailers. We knew we had warehouse space. And then leadership came to the team and said, we're going to keep going. We're going to find a way to help our community. We're going to find a way to continue to engage. We're not exactly sure what that may look like yet, but who's in, no hard feelings, but who's in. And every single hand went up in that meeting, and everybody was ready to help. Everybody was ready to go, and nobody was going anywhere. And that was a little unnerving for all of us. It was a very cool feeling to know that was the kind of people that we had on our team. So again, and so that added people to the mix. We had trucks, trailers, warehouse space, and most importantly, we had people that were ready to help. So our leadership team went to work figuring out how we could utilize those resources to help, to continue to be a part of the city and the community that we love, and how we can continue to contribute. And very quickly, we were brought to Gleaners. And Gleaners, for those who don't know, has a drive-through pantry that folks can come multiple days a week. They also support some satellite pantries around the central Indiana area. But they very quickly realized that they had a couple of problems. One was that they now had a whole bunch of people that couldn't, or it wasn't smart for them to leave their homes, given what was going on with COVID-19. And in response to the fallout from it, they had a ton of requests from essentially temporary pantries that wanted to do something similar to their satellite pantries. And so that is where we came in. That was the shift that we made back in March of last year. And ultimately, the way it would work is those who needed assistance, they would call in to Indie Hunger Network, which essentially functioned as a call center. And we worked most closely with Gleaners and Second Helpings to deliver food and help them solve both of those problems. And so the way that we've done that, one, is through our home delivery teams. So our Kids Riding Bikes programming rolls out in Sprinter vans, and those were converted to be able to haul food. And we have teams of people who deliver them direct to homes all over the city of Indianapolis. And this is Anthony. Anthony's a rock star. It's his job to make sure the sprinters are ready to go each evening when the teams roll back in with the support from the rest of the team. But he's leading the charge on that front. And then the next day, 5 days a week, the next day the teams roll in. Doesn't matter what the weather looks like. I'm sure you all can guess for that second picture what time that second picture was taken. We are rolling out to deliver food, dry goods and fresh produce all over the city. And then our agency team. So those temporary agencies, those temporary food banks that popped up, that was the next one, the next thing we jumped in to help solve. So we started out with our Explore Indy truck and trailer, as well as actually that big Kids Building Bikes truck and trailer, believe it or not, to deliver whole skids of food to agencies all around the city. We have since upgraded to a box truck, and this is Jason, one of the team members on the dock at Gleaners. They've also been really phenomenal to work with. And so he loads the truck, and then our agency team, again, rain or shine, snow or 50 degrees outside, we are delivering to agencies all around the city to help support those efforts. So essentially what we became is we utilize the same logistical expertise we use to put on our bicycle programming to be able to achieve this goal of helping Gleaners and Second Helpings and Indie Hunger Network deliver food to the tune of so in the neighborhood of 6.5 million pounds of food delivered since last March between all of our teams. Our household teams are going to around 250 individual households per day on average. And there was a time when we were approaching 40 agency deliveries every single week. Thankfully, that demand has gone down, so we're not quite at that number at this point. But so that is what most of 2020 looked like for us. But as I said, we were able to continue some of our programming, some of the programming that we could do safely. But this last week, something very cool happened. This is, let me think here. So this would be February 22nd. So just this past Monday. So almost exactly a year to the day, our first, with some obvious changes and some additional safety precautions, both from the schools and for our team as well. We were able to safely return to kids riding bikes programming. And we hope that will, as it is safe to do so, and as it makes sense, that is something that we will continue to do. But through all of this, there was a really big project that was going on behind the scenes. Something that we had been working on and we had been focused towards since we moved to the depot, as I referred to earlier on in the presentation, and that was this. So the week that the shutdown happened, our CEO Tom approved the architecture plans for this rendering that you see here for the building bikes lab. And with all of the uncertainty that came along with 2020, we still managed to soldier on this project and continue pushing forward with it. So this program will serve the near northwest neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhoods in the community, and it gives them a space. It gives us the ability to deliver our programming, to bring the power of the bicycle to more people right there in our neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhoods, and the community as well. So this is where we came from. We took over the space directly next door. We took over an additional amount of square footage next door to our original space. So it's a shared wall. So it's all in the same building under the same footprint. And this is where we went with it. So this is the building bikes lab. We have just recently officially begun programming. If you follow us on social media, you may have seen some of those announcements happen. But this classroom space has 12 stations, and they look like this one. So there is obviously a bike stand. There are tools. There is a workbench. There is everything that a participant would need to participate in our building bikes programming. And the great thing about this setup, it was always designed to be this way, but it allows us to give participants space to safely participate in everything from working in the stand to these sort of fine detail, work things like you see happening here with this recent participant. Another thing that makes that easier, and one of the many innovations that we built into this classroom, is that we have a system. We have a camera system, and we have an AV system that allows Maddie Bennett, who leads our kids building bikes and our building bikes programming. He can give detailed instruction, and it doesn't matter where a participant is in the room, because he's able to talk to them just as if he was standing next to them, because these monitors exist all around the room. So when he's working on something more detailed, he can remain at the instructor station and it doesn't hurt the instruction at all. He's able to deliver the challenge or the task, if you will, and then the participants are able to take those things on themselves. But as many of us know, if you work on bikes, sometimes you got to get a little more detailed. So we do, of course, have the ability to safely work with the students and the participants. If Maddie or one of our other instructors needs to step in and help him, he's able to do that. But each participant has a space to be able to work on their bike and continue on through the program. So again, just to kind of refer back, the gray rectangle you see here, that is the original space we took over. And then the red one that you see there next to it, that is where the classroom space exists now. There's also a lounge space in there, so some additional offices to be able to help support our programming as well. So as I mentioned before, our programming is primarily, almost completely, it's mobile, and that won't change. But from the moment we found our home in the near Northwest back in 2018, we knew that we wanted a dedicated space to share our programming with our neighbors and the surrounding community. And that is what the Building Bikes Lab, that's what this space is about. It's about For us, it's a phrase we use a lot, but it really proves to be true over and over again. It's about bringing the power of the bicycle to our community. It's about giving our neighborhood here in the near Northwest, and again, those surrounding neighborhoods in the community, a place to come together for better. Um, it's about it's about our programming. It's about being able to expand the capacity for our programming, for programming that's in high demand. As you can see, if you look at this picture, everything in here except for the bike stands are on wheels, and the bike stands are removable as well. So we're able to utilize this for our Kids Riding Bikes program. We're able to utilize this as a launch point for Explore Indy programs. We're able to utilize this for other like-minded organizations that are doing good work in our community. They have the ability to use this space as well, to come together in a safe way to be able to continue their cause. So this is about utilizing the power of the bicycle to empower our community ultimately. And for us, that's what 2021 and beyond is really going to be about. It's about bringing the power of the bicycle back to kids all over central Indiana, as well as right here in our neighborhood with this classroom. So that's our mission this year. That is what we are aiming towards. Obviously, there are many safety precautions to be taken into account, and we are absolutely doing that. But we are looking forward as quickly as we can to be able to bring the power of the bike back to kids all over central Indiana. And we will the food programming, the home delivery especially, we've said from the beginning, we will be there to help as long as there's a need, and that will continue in some capacity moving forward. But ultimately, we're really excited to get back to our bike related programming as well.
All right, great. So if you have any questions that you would like, we've got one question that was just put in chat. Go ahead and put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask it as well. But I'll go ahead and let Nathan know what the first question is. How do you pay rent and salaries, and what are your income sources?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. So for us, traditional grants, philanthropic grants and those things. We also work with corporate partners, community partners as well. There for a long time, we would talk about where there's a lot of IndyCar fans in the group. We would talk about the fact that in a lot of ways, we operate more like an IndyCar team than a nonprofit. We had a lot of, we were fortunate early on to have corporate partnerships, corporate partners that came on board and believed in what we were doing. And came on board to support us as sponsors. There again, your traditional philanthropic giving through grants and individual giving as well.
Where did the name come from?
So this one, we have tried with all of our might to come up with a really good joke about this, but it's very simple.
Actually.
Yeah, right. It's a very simple story. So Tom Hanley's birthday is September 13th. So 9/13. But ultimately what it's become for us, it's become this really cool thing. So we celebrate 9/13 day every year. And this year it looked a little different. It was a video. We gave a Dusty Boots tour of the Building Bikes lab. But we're able to take that day and celebrate the bike. Usually the weather's pretty mild around that time. And so we have over the years kind of been building that into a day that we can celebrate the bike and celebrate what it can be as an education tool here in the city. So it has simple origins, but it's turned into a pretty fun tool for us to be able to utilize.
The next question is, well, fantastic to see you were back in school last week. Are more schools opening up to you in the next couple of months?
That is still kind of up in the air for us right now. And yes, it was very exciting for our team to be able to do that. It is something that we're exploring, to be honest. My honest answer is we're not sure at this time. This year, that is our goal is to begin getting back into schools, whether that be this school year, in any real way in terms of numbers of schools that we can go back to safely. But then the big target would be the beginning of next school year.
Do you work with Freewheelin' Bikes?
Free Will, they're a phenomenal organization, and obviously there's a lot of things that we have in common. So we've had Free Will and team members that have been a part of our team, and our team spend a lot of time going over, when we need something from a bike shop, we find our way over there. So we love Free Wheeling and what they're doing over there. And we've definitely worked together in ways in the past, and look forward to again in the future.
Any other questions? Any other questions or comments from folks?
Cool. One other thing that I just wanted to mention quickly is, so we of course are always looking for the support of the community, for those who believe in what we're doing. And something I neglected to mention the first time around that I wanted to make sure I circled back to, with our Explore Indy program, there's an organization called Active Indy Tours that you can book a tour with at any time. So we've done convention groups, we've done families, we've done all sorts of folks that just want to get out and do a guided bicycle tour, and the proceeds from that organization go directly to 913 Sports to support what we're doing. So of course, if you work for an organization that you think it makes sense to partner with us in some way with one of our programs or more, we would love to hear from you. But that's one of the fun ways you can support us as well as an individual, is to take in an Active Indy bike tour. And another way, coming up in the fall, we will be doing the Cranksgiving event, Cranksgiving Indy, again here in the fall. So registration for that will be going live at some point here. I'd say it'll be a few months yet probably, but be looking out for that. We always make sure we publicize that, and that is an event where, if you're not familiar, it started out as an alley cat, but basically what it's turned into in a lot of cities, including here in Indy, is it's a bike ride where we turn it into a scavenger hunt, and it's around Thanksgiving time. So you go out and we're looking for food for Thanksgiving, and then all of the haul that comes back, there's an organization each year that we then donate the food to, so they can utilize it to make hot meals for families over Thanksgiving. And it's a really fun event, and the registration goes to support 913 as well. So there are lots of ways to support what we're doing in fun ways. But if you have more questions or want to find more information, you can always visit us there at 913sports.org.
Yeah, a lot of questions have come in now. Do you organize group rides, and explain more about your sports team?
Yeah, so do we organize group rides? Primarily, it's going to be it's those Active Indy tours, and then we work with community partners and then school groups. Those are the group rides that we are organizing. The race team, it's a junior team that's organized by John Singleton, excuse me, in Singleton Coaching. It has a limited number of spots, but basically it fits in the ladder, kind of climbing the ladder in the racing world. And so for those participants that are interested, they have the ability to join in that team, again, on a limited basis, and compete, for those that are interested in competing on the bike. With our regular programming, we don't play up the competition aspect as much. As you can imagine, though, we take a video game into kids' gym classes, they get competitive. But that is, that's kind of a true competitive outlet that we're really proud to be involved with.
Will the Building Bikes Lab be available to community groups, not necessarily schools?
Right. Yeah, so yes is the short answer. Obviously, we'll be starting out slowly, but we're always interested in talking with organizations that are interested in utilizing it in that way. The biggest thing, obviously, is first and foremost the safety aspect of it. It's a big space, so that's helpful. But that is something that, we designed the room to be able to do. It'll just be starting out slowly. But if there's, I'm not sure who asked that question, but if there's a specific organization that's interested in that, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Is your financial information available anywhere?
Yeah, so our 990s are publicly available. If there are any other questions, feel free to contact me, and I'll see if you can help out. But yeah, that's all publicly available.
How do you get on mailing lists for rides like Cranksgiving, or do you just keep checking the website? I can answer part of that, because we, as Bicycle Garage Indy, are usually a sponsor and promote Cranksgiving when we find out about it. So if you're on our email list, you'll most likely see it, but I'm sure that.
Yeah, so admittedly, the primary way to follow along those things with us is to follow our social media channels. That is our primary mode of mass communication in that way: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But if you want to be a part of our mailing list, you can email info@nine13sports.org and let us know that. That is something that will our mailing list and a more regular newsletter will be coming online this year to kind of provide those updates. So if that's something you're interested in, for now, it's not the typical way, but send us an email at info@nine13sports.org. And as that mailing list comes online, we'll make sure that we get you added.
Can you talk a little bit more about the Explore Indy program?
I would love to, and I'll talk about it. But if there's a specific question, please don't hesitate to ask. So that program, there are some sort of predetermined routes, but the cool thing about that program is that each group, a school group or a community organization, we have the ability to tailor that to what those groups may be most interested in. So the one that comes to mind is we have the downtown loop. So we have the mall, we have the canal, we have all sorts of different monuments along the way, and just kind of going to those places around downtown that are really special and really interesting, and even some that are not as well known, that are really cool and really fun to check out, and introducing people to those things. But we've done rides that lead from parks with our partners over at Parks that explore specific greenways, and how they're interconnected through the parks. And we've done rides with schools that are more focused on the neighborhoods that those schools exist in. So it's a really, really fun program for me. I have learned a lot myself through it over the years. And I love being able to be a part of passing on that knowledge. And we've got Nathan Smurden and Joe Heddle here as well that are part of leading those rides. And it again, as you can tell, it's something that is very personal to me. I love that program, and I love the connection that it builds when we're with our school groups and with our kids, and young adults, and you say, hey, this thing is right in your backyard, whatever it may be, and it's been right under your nose this whole time, and you see their eyes light up, and the realization of how cool our city is, and then how connected they wind up being to it. But then also the light bulb moment of, well, hold on a second, I actually can use a bike to get around. So there's a lot of really cool things that happen in that program.
We have some kudos. Your innovation and using your assets during COVID is commendable, and you are to be congratulated for it.
Thank you.
And then also another person, really wonderful effort and nice job. So
thank you. One thing I want to circle back to, just to be sure is clear on the Explore Indy program. So I mentioned Active Indy tours, and the easiest way to sort of separate the two, Explore Indy is our student groups, and that's focused on schools and community centers and those partners. And then for corporate groups and families and things like that, it would be the Active Indy side of things. So I just a quick point of clarification. But no, I appreciate the kudos, and I appreciate you all for being here, and we appreciate you, Connie, for doing these events and for letting us be a part of it.
You're welcome. One of the reasons why we started doing these Spotlight on Bicycling, for several years, we've had bikes and beer nights where we've brought in different organizations. They've done some fundraising through auctions. We've had beer donated, and so beer sales also got split between the organizations. And this year we were not able to do that. So I was trying to figure out a way that we could still highlight the different organizations and the great work that they're doing. So started this Spotlight on Bicycling thing. So this is now our 5th one that we've done. We've got 2 more that we've got scheduled and a couple others I have in the pipeline. So I'm really excited that there are people who have attended, and then we've also had many other people, since it's recorded, have watched them afterwards as well if they couldn't come to the event. So thank you very much for attending, and thanks to 913 Sports for being part of this new innovative thing that we're trying to do, to keep people connected to bicycling and find out more about the different organizations that they might not know about. And the person who asked about Freewheelin', we are going to have them next week, Freewheelin' Community Bikes, and they have a new executive director, which I spoke with a couple weeks ago. So I'm really interested to find out a little bit more about what they're going to be doing as well. So if anybody has any additional questions, go ahead and either speak up or type them in, and otherwise we'll hopefully see some of you next week. And I have a really bad case of spring fever after this past weekend, as probably a lot of other people do, because it was just wonderful. And I'm hoping that we keep days over 40 degrees from now on, but we'll see. Guess that's, yes, spring, someone says. So if no one has any additional questions, and all right, I will go ahead and end it. So thank you very much, Nathan, for all of your work, and to the whole 913 Sports team, team members. We Bicycle Garage India, as a sponsor of you, are really happy to see all of the great work that you do, and hope it continues to just keep on growing. So
we appreciate it very much. Really, we do.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to go ahead and end this, and see you all next week. Thanks.
Thanks.